Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, Texas Gal Treasures. In today's video, we're going to be talking about jewelry that is illegal to sell, and in some cases, immoral and unethical to sell. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Margaret. I'm a reselling homeschooling mom that flips things on eBay, Etsy, and other platforms to help support my family. And lately I've been doing an awful lot of jewelry videos. I won't say awful, but a lot of jewelry videos. And I thought it would be a good time to refresh some of the items that are not only illegal to sell, but in some cases are legal, but perhaps immoral or unethical to sell. So I wanted to bring those to you today and discuss the laws about some of them and what the penalties are for selling some of these items, and then also have a bit of a discussion about some of maybe the immoral or unethical items that perhaps I wouldn't sell, but them not being completely illegal, others may choose to, which again, no judgment, it's just everybody has to make their best choices. I am live. Hello everybody that is here in the chat. I will be talking more to the chat at the end and having a bit of a discussion and just getting your point of view, because there are a couple of gray areas that I'm on the fence about, and I'm not sure quite what I would do if I found certain pieces. So I would like to hear from you guys, whether you're watching live or if you're watching later. I'd love to read your comments and hear your take on some of these items. So yeah, let me jump right into this. So I'm going to start with things that are definitely illegal. So thought I would start with things that are knockoffs or counterfeit items. So let's say you've gotten a jewelry jar and you pick up something that is, say, Mark Chanel or Mark Tiffany and Company, and you're not sure if it's authentic or if it's a knockoff. If you sell the item and it turns out to be counterfeit, you could not only face a fine, but if you're selling on a platform like eBay or Etsy, you could have your account suspended and in some cases completely terminated, especially if it's a repeat offense. So it's definitely something to educate yourself about, making sure that if you're listing something that is an item that is highly counterfeited, to find out if it might be a knockoff or not. One way to do that is to ask in a group, jewelry group like mine, Texas Gals Jewelry Lovers, or in other cases, if a jewelry group might be able to point you, I'm going to put a caveat on that. A jewelry group can give you their opinion, but if they're not holding the piece in their hands and being able to inspect it, it really is best to take it to a certified dealer or a place that, like this Tiffany and Company store, sometimes there'll be a fee to authenticate it, but in other cases you might be able to take it and they will let you know right away if it's a knockoff. But a good place to start is in a jewelry group, because if it is a glaring knockoff, somebody there will be able to let you know. Also, I wanted to share that this site, and I have quite a few sites here, and I realize I haven't linked them yet because I'm live. I'll link these sites after we get done. But this talks about the illegality of selling counterfeit items, and the maximum penalty for first-time offenders trafficking counterfeit goods can be 10 years in prison and $200 million fine. I have a feeling that that's for the much larger counterfeiters selling bulk goods importing from overseas, because I doubt that just a small seller like you and me, if you are, would unknowingly sell a counterfeit item and get this huge fine, but it still can affect your livelihood with losing your account or being suspended. So it's definitely not worth the risk. And again, hello in the chat. I will definitely come back and talk and check up on the chat at the end. All right, so the second item, which is illegal to sell, and you probably anticipated this one, is ivory. If you've been watching my channel for a little while, you'll know that I like to put ivory. I have a little box that I keep it in when I get it in jewelry jars or bags. Sometimes I'll buy pardon me, one time I bought a lot of bracelets from a thrift store, and there was an ivory bracelet in there. So I keep them in a little box until I can figure out the best way to deal with them. And I've heard from lots of different people saying, everyone's opinion about it. Bury it, burn it. Personally, I don't want to do either of those things. Chances are most likely that I would donate them to education, to educate people about the harms of the ivory trade. So likely what will end up happening with these items, because I don't want to disrespect the animal that gave its life, you know, for the items that are in my possession. So, and again, some of these are items that I have gotten in different thrift hauls, jewelry bags, jewelry jars. I do have some pieces that were passed down to me from my family that were my grandmother, great-grandmother's. Those ones I'll probably just hang on to. I'm not exactly sure. Again, it's one of those areas where I'm not sure how I feel about it, and I'm not sure what the best course of action for that is. But yeah, so there's that. Let's switch over and let's talk a little bit about Ivory. So this is a site that's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. This is a great resource. It talks about the different types of ivory. It talks about what you can do with your ivory. African elephant ivory. It goes into Asian elephant ivory. And it talks about, you know, can I sell it? Can I sell it within state lines, without a state lines? The laws changed recently, I think about 4 years ago, prohibiting the sale of ivory. I have the Spruce Crafts. I got smushed. So I had everything out, you know, fixed, but anyway. So the laws changed recently in 2016. Here we go. The sale of African elephant ivory was completely banned in the United States. So being able to identify the type of ivory, the age of the ivory. I know in other provinces, other countries, there are different laws. And also, I think the age would have to be 100 years from what I've been reading, and you'd have to have documentation to note how old the item is. So, and again, I will link these. This is from the Spruce. And then also there's a great article here on PBS. Let me scroll back up to the top, if I can, yeah. The overview of current ivory laws. So this is something that would be really good if you're wanting to educate yourself more about ivory. And I will also, pardon me, if you're not sure how to tell if something is bone or ivory or celluloid or something else, then I've got a video, gracious, of course, and the thumbnail looks like this. Is it bone or ivory? I'll probably be re-recording this video in the near future because I think it would be better if I recorded it with the camera down. In this video, I'm holding the pieces up. So I will be doing that. So anyway, if you're wanting to find out, and then I have a little short video clip there about Schreger lines on a piece that I found at an estate sale. I didn't buy the piece, but I took a recording of the piece because it was a pretty big chunk, and the Schreger lines were really clear. And so I took a little video clip of it just as an educational, like, this is what it looks like, you know, in your face kind of deal. So there's that. I think I'm moving on to the next one there. Yeah, okay. So there's a little teaser on the next one. Okay, so, and again, in the chat, I see a lot of comments and things in the chat, and I will come back and talk about more. Oh, also, I wanted to say, this is sort of as an aside, because I went over to my Etsy store just to check out a couple of items that I wanted to bring up as far as selling bone, because there's ivory, there's bone, and a lot of times people that are trying to identify them are not correctly labeling them. And I noticed that Etsy had taken down a couple of my items that were bone, and so even though it is not illegal, depending on the type of bone and this and that, to sell them, I probably won't be posting any more bone items in my Etsy store. eBay was already really very strict about it because you would have to know the type of animal and where it was, a whole lot of information that a thrifter would probably not have. So I wanted to share with you the item. So this was the item that, and it on the front, I could see how it kind of looks like it might be ivory, but when you flip it over, you can see, if you know how to identify ivory, that it's not. But it was taken down anyway, as well as this other little brooch that is also bone. And I still had one pair of bone earrings up in my shop that I went ahead and took down because, you know, for the same reason, these bone earrings I took down. I went ahead and pulled them down because I saw that Etsy had taken down these items, and this is one of the ways, you know, it's part of my livelihood. I don't want to have too many red flags on my account as far as eBay or Etsy, as far as, you know, selling things that are questionable or illegal, or if another person came along and tagged it, it's just not worth it. So I went ahead and pulled down this, and so likely I won't be selling items that are bone either, even though some of them are still legal to sell. So there's that. And I mean, truly, I don't really sell that much stuff with bone in it, but I was just pulling out this, hang on, I'll show you. We were sorting jewelry and I found this, it's a bone necklace. And so this is something I won't be listing in my shop. So what I'm going to do with these items, I'm not sure. Again, it might just be something that goes to education, might be something I just save to the side for when I create videos about identifying bone versus ivory, things like that. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you have an Etsy shop, eBay, and you've got bone, or you wouldn't have ivory, but you might go and check, because they didn't notify me. They didn't send me an email or anything. I just went to look and realized that they were deactivated by Etsy. So anyway, the next item that is illegal to sell that you need to know about is tortoise shell. Real tortoise shell, not plastic fake tortoise shell. And this is another item that, let's see, slide over here. There. So it can look like plastic. It feels like plastic if you hold it. So being able to identify if what you have is actually tortoiseshell is important. So I'm going to link a couple of videos here that can help you identify if what you have is real tortoiseshell as opposed. I think if it's truly just plastic, like plastic earrings, I mean, chances are likely if it's obviously plastic, it wouldn't be that hard. But sometimes you might come across something like some of these bracelets here are, to me, if I found those, I would question whether they were real or not and want to take it further if I had them, not that I would go and buy them. Anyway, so one way for sure that I know to tell if something is tortoiseshell, if you already have it in your possession, is if you dip it in hot water. It smells kind of like burning hair. So I have a video, which I'm probably going to be breaking this one out, because in this one I talk about testing Bakelite and celluloid. I have a tortoiseshell bracelet that was my grandmother's, so same deal. I have the bracelet that I can use as an example for educating people about tortoiseshell. So chances are I'll probably just keep it for that reason. But I think what I'm going to do is create a whole separate video with just that piece and talking about identifying tortoiseshell. But again, it was really clear, and I do it in this video, when I dip it in the hot water, it smells like burning hair. If you don't know what burning hair smells like, well, snip a little piece off and throw it in the fire. All right. So tortoiseshell, that's another one. The next items, let me make sure I'm not jumping ahead. Wait, that's that same video. Okay, so that's the end of that part. The next part are things that are questionable and maybe immoral or unethical. Some of them are certainly. This is the part where, hi Anderson Cooper, you were not what I had pulled up. These are some that I question what I would do on a couple of them. Some of them I definitely know, but I thought, let's take the opportunity to talk about it. If you know who this is and what this is, I'm trying to get my screen to fix so that it's grabbing the right image for you. There we go. Okay, so if you haven't heard this story, when Meghan Markle, who married Prince Harry, was at a luncheon, Princess Margaret of Kent showed up wearing a Blackamoor brooch. And there was a big hubbub about it being a racist brooch, and it was a snub or a poke at her heritage. So this is one of those areas that I wanted to have a discussion about. It's not illegal to sell Blackamoor items. There are some that were like this, I think was created by a Venetian jewelry maker, and some of them are beautiful. And The line is, for me, or maybe for you, I don't know. And again, this is an area that I would love to hear your take on, because some of them are clearly depicting African or African Americans in a negative light, while others appear not to be. So that's where I'm not sure where the line is. I know there's a huge collector base for this type of jewelry too. So that's my line. I think in a second here, let me pull up this other one. I have a whole bunch of stuff. I was looking into Blackamoor stuff. I think, you know, when it comes to certain pieces of, like, say, African American, Black Americana, like this brooch here, like that, I would feel really super uncomfortable selling, because to me, that is depicting an African American person in a negative light, and so I would feel pretty uneasy. I wouldn't feel right about selling something like that. However, like if it was one of these cameos that are beautiful, they're depicting people in you know, a positive light and highlighting beauty, then I feel like it's different. And in the chat, you know, historical context has to be considered. Yes, but I agree. And again, this is totally perspective. So everybody has a different perspective. So here's my point. On another note, as far as Black Americana type stuff goes, a while back I shared a video. I was going through, as you may not know, my grandmother was a huge collector of all the things, and so she had a spoon collection. She had a jewelry collection, and so when I was going through her ginormous spoon collection, which included, you know, spoons from her travels, I found this spoon, and I did a video about it. You know, what do you do with racist items? I considered it a racist item. It was an African American man up against a tree, and there's a raccoon in the tree, and it's carved. I mean, clearly somebody carved it onto a silver spoon, and it says, you know, and it's crude, it says "To Coons, Dallas." And so I had a discussion about the item and, like, what would you do? And this is where I say, you know, historical context is one thing, but racism, you know, is racism. So, like, this item, I decided to donate to a place that, I can't remember what the name of the place is. I think I put it down here. Jim Crow Museum for Racist Memorabilia. That's what it was. So that's another area that I'm comfortable with. Now, this wasn't a piece of jewelry, but you could easily find probably something like this that was made into a piece of jewelry. And so, yeah, and Greta in the chat saying some things are obviously racist, and some, you know, would deal with history. And I think part of it for me is I want to be sensitive to, maybe I don't know what would be, like, some things like that clearly racist, but then maybe there's other things that I didn't realize were racist, and that's why I wanted to have the discussion, honestly, because what if I came across something like that, like especially like one of the Blackamoor brooches that are beautiful, but then are they? You know, and I don't laugh as in, like, anyway, so it's just a discussion I thought we could have. So that's another one that was an on the fence one for me to talk about. There were a few things, oh dear, I forgot to pull up that. On Etsy, they talk about things that are illegal to sell on their site, including human remains, which, surprise, human remains, but you can sell things that include hair and teeth, and there was one other thing. But I think I would be kind of weirded out by selling things with human teeth. And the example that was given on their site was like a necklace made of human teeth, which kind of freaked me out. But I realized that some mourning brooches, like as in grieving type brooches from the Victorian era, contain pieces of hair. So, so that would be a little bit different, I think. So that's an area that is questionable as well. And then also things that have to do with Nazism or the KKK, things like that. Those are also items that are not okay to sell on these sites as well, which I would. So those were the main things. Oh, I was going to talk to you about, there's a couple things, here we go, let me flip it back over, that I wasn't aware of. Maybe some of you were. So there are some feathers. I don't like feathers to begin with, but when I was looking into all the topic for this video, I came across a couple of things that I was not aware of. There are certain feathers that are illegal to sell in, online. So it says feathers for most wild duck and geese you cannot sell except for mallards. I mean, this is just something that I will link for you to go and look into a little bit more. And then also coins. I like selling jewelry that I find with coins. I think it's super cool. But there are countries where it is illegal to deface. I think in America it is too, but I don't think it's really, nobody cracks down on it. But some countries, they do. And so it's illegal to, let's see. There was one, I think Singapore was one. That's the one that stands out to me from, here we go. If you search Singapore coin jewelry, you'll find, oh well. I'm going to have to just link this because I feel like I did this before and now I can't think of it. But anyway, it's something to familiarize yourself with. That some countries you can't, I think if you were selling it here perhaps, but if you were trying to sell it there, it would be a problem. Okay, something to keep in mind. I am now going to go and take a look in the chat and talk, have a discussion about some of the things. If you're done and you've gotten the information that you were interested in checking out, then I appreciate you being here. Go leave me a comment and let me know your take on some of these immoral or unethical items. And And I'm going to go jump into the chat. Thank you for being here. And if you're watching and you're here now, go over there and leave a thumbs up. And I would also encourage you to come back and leave your comments because sometimes you've said really poignant things or interesting things that contribute to the conversation. And I would hate for someone else to miss your take and your voice. So come back later after the video is over and leave your comment on the video. So, hello everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Hi Mary, thank you for being my wench in the chat. I haven't had a chance to really look too much over there. Tammy says, I can't tell you how many times I've bought counterfeit items from Shop Goodwill auctions. Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, they won't refund. So, Nola says I've gotten counterfeit items from ThredUp. Yeah, and I just when we were sorting some jewelry last night, I'm destashing in here. I found a Yves Saint Laurent earring that I knew was fake, and a Chanel earring that I knew was fake. So, yeah. So Rosalinda says, I love the idea of using ivory for education, and I think that's the direction. Mm-hmm. And in some places, the Colleen is talking about in Alaska and things like that. In some, with native indigenous tribes and things, from what I know, it's still okay. I don't know. I mean, for a while there, scrimshaw was okay to sell, so I have to look into that. Scrimshaw is when they're the carving onto the ivory, usually walrus tusk or something like that. So I'll have to look into scrimshaw and if that's still something that's sellable. I'm not sure. I didn't look that up before this. And let's see. I'm looking through the chat. Yeah, Tammy says, I don't mess with ivory at all. A lot of times I get it in just lots and bags and then what, right? So I think this was in a Goodwill box that I got not long ago, and I mean I just have quite a bit, and as I'm cleaning my room I'm finding more, so it's just going in the box. Yeah, it's going in the box. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking just to see. Yeah, usually the elephants are killed, definitely. I'm missing some. Okay, yeah. there are places that you can send the ivory for educational purposes, definitely. Mary says it's only illegal to sell tortoise shells of endangered tortoises. That's something, yeah, I have to look into more. But how do you know? That's the thing. How do you know if you've got one where it came from? So that's the $20 million question as far as, yeah, what to do, or, yeah. So, finds of yesterday. Oh no, I thought that people just used the name tortoiseshell as a design, not that it was actual tortoiseshell. Yeah, there are, yeah, there are tortoiseshell voices out there. Hang on. Actual tortoiseshell. So, Greta says they're part of history and shouldn't be censored. I think that has to do with the Blackamoor. I get that. I think is, again, this is totally just personal perspective. If what you're wearing is offensive and painful to another person, say like a swastika. So swastikas were used, in Buddhist way before the Nazi Party used it as their, on their flag and their symbol. It was a Buddhist symbol for peace, I believe. So you can still find things that have swastikas on them that are not indicative of that era. However, and I think those are fine, legal to sell as well, depending on the subject matter. I wouldn't, with the comment about it being part of history and shouldn't be censored, I wouldn't want to wear it or profit off of it, knowing that it would be painful to others. So, personally, yeah. So, and I do get. Now I'm not saying it needs to be destroyed, or maybe. I guess it depends on the context, but yeah, I think, again, personally, just trying to consider the implications to others. I mean, not to get too much into the way of the world, I think that's part of some of the unease, is that we need to think about others, and not to be too squishy or like hippie about it, but I don't know. Think about the pain that it would cause others. It's like a comedian. Everything's funny until it's your thing, right? And then once it's your thing, it's like, oh, you've crossed the line, yeah, I think that's kind of the same thing. If it was a piece of jewelry that was offensive to you as a person, then that would cross the line. But if it's a piece of jewelry that doesn't bother you a bit, then it shouldn't be considered offensive. So that's kind of, I don't know, anyway. But again, everybody has their opinions. So, yeah, and that's the thing with the Blackamoor. Some of it is just gore. I mean, some of the pieces are clearly made by master jewelry smiths, but then some of them are, yeah. And I do know, as far as we're talking about the Black Americana stuff, and I do have African American friends that collect Black Americana. So that's the thing. That's the line. I don't know that I would feel comfortable selling it. Yeah. Let's see. Oh wow, Alicia says they're actually feathers that you're not even supposed to pick up off the ground and touch. Wow, yeah. So I'll link the sites about the feathers, because there was a lot of information there. I think if I were diving into that, it would be more than it would take this video long. But yeah, it's interesting to know. Fox, oh yeah, the fox fur neck pieces biting their own tail kind of deal. Yeah. So thank you, Jody. I think, let me see. I'm looking through here. Virginia says, she says, it's great to deal with ethical people, especially resellers. That is the line, because as resellers, you know, the bottom line is the bottom line. But I don't know, maybe not. It's hard to get out of that mindset for sure when you're looking at something thinking this could be worth $100. And when I did the video for this and a couple other ivory pieces, I had people message me privately asking to buy it. And I, no. I think one person even asked me just send it to me then. You don't have to sell it to me, just send it to me. I don't want it. But and part of me is like, no. Because yeah. Is there a way to destroy ivory so it doesn't go back into circulation? That's what some people have suggested, as far as, burying it or burning it. But I think personally, but again, everybody has to do what they feel is right for them. I would probably find an organization that I could donate it to for educational purposes. Mary says you can identify a turtle shell by its shape, pattern, and size. I think that's an area maybe I'll have to, when I talk about testing the tortoise shell, maybe I can do a little more research and touch on that, because that's good information to know, definitely. Yeah. I jumped again. So, yeah. Good question, because Tanya was asking, what can you say you don't know what it is if you don't know what it is? And I think there have been times I've done that when it comes not to this type of stuff, but for example, if it was a bracelet that was silver in color, but it didn't test for sterling silver, I didn't have any marks on it, I can just say silver tone, I'm not sure of the metal composition. Or if it's before I got my gem tester, if it was a citrine colored stone, but I didn't have a way of testing it to prove that it was actually citrine, then I would put that in my listing, citrine colored, untested. But when it comes to ivory or bone, there are very easy, you can look at it, and if you know how to identify it, which doesn't take very long to find out, then it should, just like, I could contact Etsy and go around and around with them about the bone pieces, but honestly, I don't want to. It's just as easy for me to take down the one other piece I had that, okay. Yeah, we talked about swastikas, yeah. So, yeah. Can you wear your ivory? You can, yeah. It's not illegal to wear it or own it. If you already have it, say like I have some that was my grandmother's, my great-grandmother's, it's not illegal to have that and wear it, but yeah, anyway, so you might have people, if somebody saw it and knew, that's my only word, is if I wore it, I don't know, but personally, that's just a personal thing, and somebody else saw it and knew what it was, then I would have to have a conversation about why I'm wearing it, probably. So, yeah. And two, going back to knowing what you're selling, for me, that's part of the fun of reselling, is learning about how to identify things and learning what everything is. That's part of what I love about reselling. I feel like I get a history lesson every week with the new things that I find and get to look up. Yeah. And yeah. And yeah, Ted says, I guess we look at stuff differently, at least I do, since I don't resell, but most of it I just collect and stumble on. I'm not offended by historic items, but reselling, I do get your point. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I totally get that. I absolutely understand the history behind things and the importance of the history, because destroying it doesn't erase the history, which I agree with. But I think finding a way, if I came across something, or if something was in my possession, whether from going through my family's items or that I got in a box of things, yeah, finding a way to respectfully handle it, and yeah, okay. Okay, I see you saying about it's the cross-state selling. There was something on one of the Ivory sites that had to do with selling across state lines and within the state, depending on the kind of ivory. But from what I was reading just in the last 4 years ago, when the new, I'm trying to find that now, when the new laws went in. Did I close that window? I think I closed it out. I don't know. Yeah. So, I am. Thanks. I think we've gotten to everything. Let's see. Oh. Emmy says if there's an ivory in a jewelry jar, doesn't that count as whoever sold the jewelry jar selling it? Is that legal? No. Like as far as Goodwill, I'll just go there. A lot of times the people that they have creating the jewelry jars are not educated about what these different items are. Should they be? Probably. But yeah, I mean, it's like when they sell counterfeit items, they just process the items in, put them on the shelf, send them out. You know, they don't have highly trained people. I don't say that, but like they don't have someone that's trained in sorting the jewelry like in store. I'm sure they have people for their websites and stuff. So yeah. Did I say anything about amber? Not on this one. Yeah, not on this one. Okay. Michelle says I would like an international shipping video. Okay. Okay. So I appreciated this conversation with you guys, and I'd love to hear more if you're watching later about your take on some of these items that are perhaps unethical, or immoral. So yeah. Angela's saying, I'll have to look and see. I can't remember where exactly it is. Okay, I'll be talking more about amber and things lately. I have a number of videos about amber as well, Michelle, on my channel, and testing them and things like that. Thank you so much for coming to watch this video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Again, if you're new here, I'd love to invite you to subscribe so that you're notified when I put out new videos about jewelry or reselling or making money online. And I will talk to you on the next one. Bye, everybody.